The courtroom was tense, filled with the weight of anticipation and uncertainty. As King Harris awaited the judge's final verdict, the case had gripped the community for months, with every hearing dissected by fans, family, and media outlets alike. King Harris, once a figure known for his confident demeanor and public persona, sat quietly, trying to process the gravity of the moment. As the judge cleared their throat and delivered the sentence, the words hit him like a thunderclap. A 5-year sentence. Immediately the air seemed to shift. Family members gasped, friends struggled to maintain composure. And cameras captured every subtle expression, every tremor of disbelief. King Harris's face went pale, his hands shook, and he slumped in his seat, unable to fully absorb the reality of what had just been pronounced. The emotional toll of facing incarceration, the uncertainty of what life would look like behind bars, the separation from loved ones, and the public scrutiny was overwhelming outside the courtroom. Social media erupted. Fans and followers flooded platforms with reactions ranging from shock and sympathy to criticism and judgment. Supporters expressed outrage, claiming the sentence was too harsh, while detractors insisted it was justified. The story quickly dominated headlines, with analysis of the trial, the evidence presented, and King Harris' reaction filling every news outlet. The incident has sparked broader conversations about the criminal justice system, the pressures public figures face, and the personal consequences of legal battles. King Harris' collapse is more than a moment of vulnerability. It is a reflection of the immense emotional and psychological weight that comes with facing life-altering decisions in a very public arena. As the community continues to process this shocking development, questions remain. How will King Harris navigate the next 5 years? What impact will this sentence have on his personal and professional life? And how will the public respond as the reality of his sentence sets in? This is only the beginning of a story that will unfold in the weeks and months to come. The day of King Harris' sentencing was unlike any other. The courthouse was packed not only with family, friends, and legal representatives, but also with media personnel and fans who had been following the case closely for months. The tension inside the courtroom was palpable, every whisper and shuffle echoing off the walls. King Harris, who had always maintained a composed exterior during the trial, appeared visibly tense as he sat in the defendant's seat, flanked by his attorneys. The months leading up to this day had been grueling. The trial had been highly publicized, with every detail dissected on social media, news outlets, and fan forums. King Harris had faced intense scrutiny, his every move analyzed by both supporters and critics. The evidence presented during the trial, including testimonies, documents, and recordings, had left a lasting impact on public perception. Behind closed doors, the legal team worked tirelessly to mount a defense. But as the trial progressed, it became clear that the stakes were high. On the morning of the sentencing, King Harris arrived early, dressed in a sharp suit, attempting to maintain a sense of composure. His family sat behind him, hands clasped tightly together, exchanging anxious glances. Friends and supporters filled the remaining seats, hoping for a favorable outcome but preparing themselves for any possibility. The judge entered the room and silence fell over the crowd. Every eye was on King Harris as the judge began to speak. As the sentencing began, the judge recapped the trial, highlighting the severity of the charges and the evidence that had been presented. King Harris listened intently, his hands gripping the arms of his chair, knuckles white. The room was tense, every word hanging heavily in the air. When the judge finally delivered the sentence, 5 years, the words seemed to hang suspended for a moment, as if time itself had paused. King Harris's reaction was immediate and visceral. He slumped forward, his face paling as the weight of the sentence sank in. He pressed a hand to his forehead, trying to steady his breathing, but the reality was overwhelming. Tears welled in his eyes, and he struggled to remain composed. The emotional toll of the trial and the sentence finally catching up to him. His attorneys quickly moved to support him, placing hands on his shoulders, trying to provide comfort as he battled to process the life-altering news. The courtroom erupted with murmurs and gasps. Family members cried openly, some burying their faces in their hands, while others whispered words of encouragement. Friends exchanged worried glances, concerned about how King Harris would cope with the immediate aftermath of such a heavy sentence. Even the judge appeared sympathetic, acknowledging the difficulty of the moment while emphasizing the necessity of the ruling. Outside the courthouse, the scene was just as chaotic. Media vans lined the street, reporters scrambled to capture statements, and fans gathered, expressing their shock and support. Social media was instantly flooded with reactions, videos, and commentary. Clips of King Harris' collapse circulated rapidly, prompting widespread discussion and debate. Hashtags related to the trial began trending, and every news outlet picked up the story, analyzing the impact of the sentence and its implications for King Harris' future. The 5-year sentence was not just a legal repercussion. It carried profound personal consequences. King Harris faced the prospect of being separated from his family and friends for an extended period. The emotional strain, coupled with public scrutiny, created an overwhelming scenario that few could truly understand. Supporters expressed concern for his mental health, noting that even the strongest individuals can falter when faced with such life-changing news. Inside the courthouse, the emotional weight was amplified by the presence of the community. Advocates, critics, and observers all bore witness to the moment, each with their own perspective on the trial and its outcome. King Harris' reaction became a focal point, a tangible representation of the human side of legal proceedings. It was a stark reminder that behind every case are real people, families, and emotions, all affected by decisions made in a courtroom. As the day unfolded, King Harris was escorted from the courtroom under close watch. He leaned on his attorneys for support, each step heavy with the knowledge of the years ahead. Family members followed closely, offering verbal reassurances and physical support, while friends and supporters attempted to console one another amidst the whirlwind of emotions. The media swarmed, cameras flashing, capturing the gravity of the moment from every angle. This moment marked a turning point, not only for King Harris, but for everyone involved. The sentence was a culmination of months of legal battles, public attention, and personal reflection. It underscored the consequences of actions, the complexities of the legal system, and the profound emotional impact of facing a multi-year sentence. As night fell and the courthouse emptied, the reverberations of the sentencing continued. Discussions continued online and in the community, with debates about fairness, justice, and the long-term impact on King Harris's life. Supporters planned to provide emotional and logistical assistance during his sentence, while critics debated the appropriateness of the verdict. Through it all, King Harris's moment of collapse remained a powerful image, a man forced to confront the reality of a life-changing sentence, navigating a mix of disbelief, fear, and the daunting unknown. It was a moment that would be remembered, analyzed, and discussed for months to come, a defining point in a story that had already captivated the public's attention. The days following King Harris' sentencing were a whirlwind of emotion, media scrutiny, and personal reflection. Even though the courtroom drama was over, the impact of the 5-year sentence reverberated across his personal life, professional connections, and public image. Family members scrambled to adjust to the reality of his absence, while friends and supporters rallied to provide comfort and assistance. Behind the scenes, legal teams worked tirelessly to explore every potential avenue for appeals or sentence reductions. But the weight of the verdict remained heavy. King Harris himself was in a state of emotional turbulence. Those close to him described him as quiet and introspective, spending hours reflecting on how a single moment, decision, or series of events had led him to this point. He was haunted not only by the consequences, but also by the thought of being away from loved ones for years. Even the smallest daily routines, the casual conversations with family, and public appearances would now be disrupted. For someone accustomed to public attention and an active lifestyle, the sudden restriction of freedom was a profound shock. Social media amplified every reaction. Fans who had followed the trial dissected every clip of the sentencing, analyzing King Harris' body language, his facial expressions, and even the subtle tremor in his voice when he reacted to the 5-year sentence. Supporters expressed outrage, claiming the punishment was too harsh for the circumstances, while critics insisted that justice had been served. The debate dominated trending topics, ensuring that King Harris remained in the public eye despite his imminent absence. On a personal level, family dynamics shifted immediately. Relatives worked together to prepare for the upcoming period of separation, from organizing finances to adjusting household responsibilities. Friends stepped in to provide emotional support, trying to create a sense of stability amidst the chaos. The reality of the sentence forced everyone in his inner circle to confront a harsh new reality. Life would be different, and they would all have to adapt. Meanwhile, King Harris attorneys explored legal options. Appeals, sentence reductions, and potential alternative programs were reviewed meticulously. Every detail of the trial was scrutinized, every procedural nuance considered. However, while these efforts offered a glimmer of hope, the certainty of the 5-year term loomed over him. The emotional toll of navigating the legal process while grappling with the sentence added another layer of stress. The psychological impact was equally significant. Being faced with a multi-year incarceration sentence can trigger intense feelings of anxiety, fear, and uncertainty. King Harris reportedly struggled with moments of panic, imagining what life behind bars would be like and how he would cope with the separation from his community and loved ones. Friends and family emphasized mental health support, understanding that resilience would be essential during this challenging period. Media coverage remained relentless. Every interview, every commentary segment, and every news article analyzed the sentencing in detail. Pundits debated the fairness of the verdict, its potential long-term effects on King Harris' career, and the broader implications for the justice system. The public's fascination with the story kept King Harris in the spotlight, magnifying the pressure he and his inner circle faced. Within his immediate circle, conversations about the future dominated daily interactions. Family members discussed how to handle communication, visits, and support during the sentence. Friends brainstormed ways to maintain his public image and reputation while navigating the challenges of restricted freedom. King Harris, despite the emotional strain, actively participated in planning, demonstrating a desire to maintain some control over his circumstances. The broader community also responded. Supporters rallied online and offline, sharing messages of encouragement and organizing initiatives to highlight King Harris' achievements and character. Some even questioned the justice system, sparking debates about fairness, accountability, and proportionality in sentencing. Meanwhile, critics maintained their perspective, emphasizing that the verdict was a consequence of actions and a reminder of personal responsibility. Despite the ongoing emotional turbulence, King Harris began to focus on preparation and strategy. He engaged with counselors, legal advisors, and trusted confidants to build resilience and maintain a sense of purpose. Daily routines were adjusted to account for the looming changes, from managing public appearances to prioritizing communication with loved ones. These measures were designed to help him navigate the immediate aftermath and prepare for the long-term implications of his sentence. As weeks passed, reality of the 5-year sentence became more tangible. Conversations shifted from shock and disbelief to practical considerations, scheduling, legal options, and emotional coping mechanisms. The gravity of the situation was undeniable, but it also fostered a sense of determination among those closest to him. King Harris and his support network worked to maintain stability, prioritize mental health, and plan for the challenges ahead. In the public eye, the narrative continued to evolve. News outlets reported on every development, from legal appeals to personal reflections from family and friends. Social media remained a central hub, with fans speculating on the potential impact of the sentence on King Harris's career and public presence. The story was no longer just about a courtroom moment. It had become a multifaceted saga, blending legal, personal, and emotional dimensions. By the end of this phase, King Harris had started to adjust mentally and emotionally. While the sentence remained daunting, The initial shock had given way to determination and strategy. He focused on maintaining relationships, preserving his public image, and planning for the future. Every step was measured, every decision deliberate, as he sought to navigate one of the most challenging periods of his life with resilience and composure. As the reality of the 5-year sentence settled in, King Harris faced a new set of challenges. The legal battle might have concluded in the courtroom, but the emotional, personal, and professional ramifications were only beginning. Friends and family remained close, offering both support and guidance. But the day-to-day reality of preparing for life in confinement brought an entirely different level of pressure. Every decision, from logistics to public statements, needed careful consideration. King Harris spent long hours reflecting on the past, analyzing the choices and events that led to this moment. While hindsight offered clarity, it also came with regret. He understood the gravity of the sentence and the impact it would have not just on him but on those closest to him. His attorneys continued to explore avenues for appeal, though success was uncertain. Meanwhile, he worked to maintain control over his personal affairs, from finances to business ventures. Ensuring that his absence wouldn't derail long-term goals, the emotional toll was significant. Being a public figure added layers of complexity to an already difficult situation. Social media commentary was relentless. Videos of his collapse in the courtroom went viral, and every new post, article, or mention drew attention. Supporters flooded him with messages of encouragement. But critics also weighed in, reminding him and the public of the reasons behind the sentence. King Harris had to learn to filter the noise while processing his own emotions within his family. Conversations became strategic and supportive. Loved ones discussed visitation schedules, communication methods, and ways to maintain bonds despite the distance. They also focused on mental health, understanding that maintaining stability would be crucial for both King Harris and those around him. Friends stepped in, helping manage public relations, ensuring that his legacy and public persona remained intact. On the professional front, King Harris faced the challenge of maintaining relevance while preparing for a period of absence. Advisors encouraged him to plan long-term projects, delegate responsibilities, and keep engagement with fans as much as possible. Despite the constraints, there were opportunities to preserve his influence, build a strategy for the future, and ensure that his career would survive the 5-year hiatus. The psychological impact of the sentence remained profound. King Harris struggled with moments of fear, uncertainty, and self-doubt. Being confined for such a lengthy period was daunting, and he grappled with the reality of missing key life events, milestones, and personal moments. Friends and family worked closely with him, emphasizing resilience and preparation, helping him build mental strategies to cope with isolation and restriction. Meanwhile, the public narrative continued to evolve. Media coverage remained intense, with analysts, influencers, and commentators providing endless breakdowns of the case, the sentence, and King Harris's reaction. Social media became a platform for ongoing debate, with fans voicing both outrage and support. The viral nature of the courtroom collapse ensured that the story remained in the public eye, amplifying the pressure on him and his inner circle. King Harris' daily routine began to adjust in anticipation of the sentence. Meetings with attorneys, mental health professionals, and trusted advisors became a priority. He focused on organizing personal and professional affairs, ensuring that business ventures, financial responsibilities, and family obligations were managed effectively. Every step was deliberate, designed to mitigate potential issues and maintain control over his life despite the looming confinement. In addition to practical preparation, King Harris spent time reflecting on personal growth and accountability. He recognized that the sentence was a consequence of actions and choices, and he committed to using the time ahead for self-improvement and planning for a stronger return. Friends and family encouraged this mindset, emphasizing resilience, perspective, and forward-thinking strategies. The 5-year sentence also brought new awareness of public perception. King Harris understood that every statement, every move, and even silence could shape how the public viewed him. His team worked to maintain his reputation, emphasizing transparency, accountability, and careful communication. Maintaining credibility and influence became as important as emotional and mental preparation, ensuring that his public image would withstand scrutiny during his absence. As the day of reporting approached, King Harris faced a mixture of apprehension and resolve. Family and friends accompanied him, offering support and reassurance. The reality of leaving the community behind, even temporarily, was daunting. But he focused on preparing mentally, emotionally, and practically for what lay ahead. Every conversation, every decision, and every moment became part of a larger strategy to navigate the coming years successfully. Even as he prepared to begin serving his sentence, King Harris remained determined to maintain perspective. He focused on long-term goals, resilience, and the support of his inner circle. While the initial collapse in the courtroom had captured national attention, it was only the beginning of a journey defined by growth, accountability, and strategic planning. The story of King Harris is more than a legal case. It is a narrative about human vulnerability, public scrutiny, and the challenges of facing life-altering consequences. His journey serves as a reminder that even in moments of collapse, resilience, preparation, and support can guide a path forward. Friends, family, and supporters continue to rally around him, ensuring that while the next 5 years would be difficult, they would not be faced alone. Looking ahead, the questions remain: how will King Harris navigate the challenges of incarceration? What impact will this period have on his personal and professional life? And how will the public continue to engage with his story? One thing is certain: this is a defining chapter, and the journey of King Harris will continue to unfold, capturing attention, inspiring reflection, and demonstrating the human capacity to endure and adapt in the face of profound adversity. King Harris' courtroom collapse and 5-year sentence have sent shockwaves through the community, the media, and social media platforms. This moment reminds us that life can change in an instant and that even the most confident public figures are not immune to vulnerability. The incident has sparked conversation about the criminal justice system, personal accountability, and the emotional toll of facing life-altering consequences under intense public scrutiny. For supporters, the focus is on providing emotional and practical assistance, ensuring that King Harris remains resilient and prepared for the journey ahead. Friends and family have mobilized to manage communications, maintain his public image, and offer unwavering support during this challenging period. Their presence highlights the importance of a strong support system when navigating high-pressure situations. As the story continues to unfold, it serves as a powerful reminder of resilience, strategic planning, and the importance of mental health. King Harris' ability to adapt, reflect, and prepare demonstrates that even in the face of overwhelming odds, it is possible to maintain perspective and move forward with determination. Stay engaged and follow the updates closely, because the coming months will reveal how King Harris navigates the complexities of his sentence, manages his public persona, and rebuilds his life. This is more than a courtroom story. It's a journey of growth, accountability, and resilience that will continue to captivate and inspire audiences.